Hi everyone, it's Tamara Harper of Smallwood Studios. Today I'm going to show you how to embroider brick stitch. Brick stitch is a great stitch to use if you're filling in something that you've already done the outline for. So I've already got 2 Totoros filled in, so you can tell what it's going to look like. Now the difference between satin stitch and back stitch is that satin stitch is just one continuous line going from one end to the other. Brick stitch, you can break up those lines. That way, for example, if I was doing satin stitch, I wouldn't need to go all the way from there to there. I could break it up. So what I like to do, instead of starting at like one corner or one side, I like to give myself an anchor point kind of in the middle. So for me, I think that maybe the eye would be drawn to the middle of Totoro's face. So I'm going to be sure and start with a good parallel line, horizontal line right there in the middle of his face. And I'll just keep coming back to that reference point. So I've got my first stitch, and then the second stitch is going to be like the back stitch idea, where you go away and come back to it, and then you have the continuous line. And then on the other side, the same kind of thing. Sometimes I'll start just away from the outline because I really don't want to disturb the outline of his eyes and that kind of thing. So once you've got your first kind of row of bricks, then you just add another one on top. And that one's going to start in the middle right there of that first kind of anchor point. And then the same thing for the next one, go all the way over. All right, and then the third row of bricks, that middle brick is going to match that first anchor point right there. So you've got a pattern going of, laying those bricks, in a brick pattern. Notice here that I'm going all the way over to his eye, just like I did on the other side. And that's really going to help keep that look of symmetry and make it look like you really, know what you're doing. So now I've kind of got a great start. It's going to be easier to lay in some of those bigger stitches and then fill in some of those smaller stitches as I go. And again, just every once in a while, just glancing back at that starting point and just making sure everything looks parallel to that first starting point. When I get to a little spot like this, I might kind of use a satin stitch look instead of trying to keep up with where that brick might start and end, that kind of thing. I'll probably end up doing satin stitch on both of those ears since they're so narrow, and that'll have just a different look to it. And here we've got the finished Totoro. So I did end up doing satin stitch on the ears and the legs. You can tell the difference in texture. I hope you enjoyed.